This video is sponsored by my patrons on Patreon. If you like my content and would like to join the ranks and get some pretty cool perks alongside it, the link is in the description below. If I played you a 2-second audio clip from a video, do you think you'd be able to identify it? I know 2 seconds seems a little bit short, but I feel pretty confident most of you will get it. Okay? So, here it goes.
Hi, you're on a rock, floating in space. Pretty cool, huh?
Immediately, I know that 90% of the people watching this video have received a gigantic serotonin boost from one of the greatest videos to ever grace the platform, History of the Entire World, I guess, by Bill Wurtz. Was the whole point of this activity rendered meaningless because the answer was very blatantly stated in the title? I'm sorry, did I give you permission to talk back to me like that? No, that's what I thought. Moving on, it's no surprise that you, dear viewer, know the intro for this video, seeing as it's one of the bigger non-music video entities on the site. It has amassed over 125 million views, and it currently sits at number 3 of all time on r/videos. It's also a very peculiar case in virality because it falls under a category that really doesn't get that much recognition in terms of views and longevity. That category is edutainment, the appropriately titled love child between entertainment and education. And by God, we best be glad that it prospered and not its younger brother, entercation, which sounds like some type of STD that nobody has discovered yet. Anyways, the only prominent channel that I can think of that fits in with edutainment in a loose sense is Crash Course from the Green Brothers, but their most viewed video is about 10 times less than the masterpiece this video essay is centered around. So what sets it apart from the rest of the pack? Well, when someone says that a video is edutainment, it generally seems to be an educational video that just has some jokes thrown in, like sparsely. There's often an evident lack of oomph in the latter half of the word, as the only medium that seems to have mastered the perfect balance is video games, and in my opinion that's just because of the inherent entertainment one gets out of playing a video game. When watching Wurtz's opus, however, I think the key to its brilliance is that it doesn't emit the vibe of an educational video whatsoever. It clearly wasn't made by an educator, and clearly was made by someone who is an entertainer, as the jokes are made through multiple different ways. Writing, musical cues, perfectly executed timing, the beauty of the musical run juxtaposed with the oddness of the lyrics, and the absolute insanity of the editing and art are all incredibly tight and executed as flawlessly as one could imagine. And all the while you're marveling at the brilliance that is being handed to you on a silver platter, you suddenly realize that this is a video your cool high school history teacher would show you. Well, the censored version, if that even exists. I looked it up and surprise, it does exist. The fact that schools will make their white students read the N-word aloud for To Kill a Mockingbird, but will guard the F-bomb with their lives, as if all of their students aren't using it in their everyday lives, is kind of preposterous. Actually, let's put a pin in me taking a dump on the education system and we'll come back to it later, okay? Cool. The key is that you get so absorbed with the intricacies and vibrant stylistic choices of the video that it doesn't seem like a chore to get through, like most educational videos do. Don't get me wrong though, it's not too entertaining that you don't pay attention to the actual educational content. On the contrary, I believe that because it is so engrossing, the information being delivered is more susceptible to stick with you. Going back to the beginning of the video, I put that question there for a reason. Due to the catchy nature of the rhythmic patterns and well-tuned hooks, I know that I can definitely recite certain parts of it, and I know that probably applies to most multiple-time viewers as well. It's like memorizing songs from a musical or lines from a movie. You're memorizing it because you like it and you want to, not because Mr. Branson is forcing you to. And that's why this works as the ultimate form of edutainment. This is a product that is so good and enjoyable that people are willing to watch it and have watched it over 125 million times, even though the heart of the video is set in providing information that they might not be interested in hearing about on its own. One of the main things that students complain about is the fact that exams at the secondary level revolve around reading a book and memorizing a bunch of terms and dates presented in the most boring and monotonous way possible. Now just imagine that there were a bunch of videos like History of the Entire World, I guess. Wouldn't you be more inclined to think that students would feel more encouraged to watch and absorb information from things that they, I don't know, enjoy? Personally speaking, as someone who really never took to reading textbooks for social studies classes, if those types of videos were shown in a crash course manner, I'd be ecstatic to come to class every day. Okay, we're taking the pin out of the proverbial education system now. You see, when I was entering university, I had a clear goal in mind. I wasn't undecided with my major, and I had all of the classes for my next 4 years of higher learning ready and raring to go and scheduled. I wanted to be a high school history teacher, secondary for the more formal folk out there. Why a history teacher? Because I think that history is the most misunderstood subject out there when it comes to how to teach it. Other subjects are more straightforward. There's really only one way to learn math and science, and English does revolve around reading and writing things, but history is, as cliche as this is going to come off, an open book in regards to how you teach it. For example, in my senior year of high school, I had a free period where I would go help one of my favorite teachers, Mr. Story. No, the irony is not lost upon me, with lesson plans for his AP US history class. He was planning for the late 1700s, and he was thinking about what to do for their final project on the Declaration of Independence. One day I came in and he told me that he had finally locked it down. He would assign a figure who signed the document to each student and have them give a presentation guised as a greeting for the signing. Due to the number of students and the block scheduling the school ran on, the presentations would take roughly 2.5 periods. So for the final half of the last period, he locked down the soccer field for a massive water balloon fight where the winner would get 5 points of extra credit on their presentation. To my surprise, he did this with everything. The unit on World War II ended in a dodgeball game between the Allies and the Axis powers. There were so many interesting ways that Story found to motivate kids to learn through a mixture of business and enjoyment. He was lucky because it was a charter school that was kind of off of the grid, and a strict hand wasn't hovering over the establishment. As of right now, the commonplace of learning is textbooks and more textbooks. Most public schools have things that they have to teach and a certain way that they have to teach them. It's interesting because they say that the education system is meant to benefit and enrich the life of a child, yet the people in control of it seem unwilling to adapt along with the people's lives they're trying to enrich. Do you know why most of your teachers seem dead inside? Because they came into the system wanting to make a change and got worn down over years and years before finally coming to the realization that there was absolutely nothing they could do. That's why this video, the Bill Wurtz video specifically, is so important. It's the solution I had been looking for to turn these activities that Story had mastered into long-form and long-term solutions. It's the perfect compromise that gets kids invested into learning by leaning into relatability and catering to what they enjoy. Sure, it can't be the only tool used in order to teach a curriculum to students, but it for sure can be used as a gravitational force to pull them in and get them more interested than they would have otherwise been without it. I'm wholeheartedly of the belief that there should be so much more effort and funding put into education. Because how can we expect our youth to care about learning when we show through our actions that we don't care about their learning ourselves? And how do we expect our teachers to care about teaching when they are criminally underpaid, which leads to a lack of motivation? Am I saying that by implementing videos like the mystical Wurtz Beauty into the school system, it could single-handedly save the American education system that has been floundering for over a decade now? Of course not. But what I am saying is that History of the Entire World, I guess, is one of the most unique and innovative pieces of content that I have ever seen, and fits into a very specific niche that perfectly encapsulates the ideal form of edutainment for the new generation. Frankly, I am of the very common opinion that this is a video that should be in the Hall of Fame of YouTube, if it isn't there already. But what excites me the most about Bill Wurtz's history of the entire world, I guess, is the fact that I could see it as a catalyst that people will look back to and cite as the turning point for something much, much greater. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, you can like, comment, and subscribe. Any combination of the three will do. I would like to give a thank you to my patrons, Weston Katecki and Carl McGee, and my producer, the BC Film Reviews. If you would like to support this channel, since most videos are demonetized, and get some awesome perks along with it, my Patreon is in the description, as well as my Twitter, where you can reach out and we can connect. Thank you once again so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Goodbye.